Yes, here, the Luo actually community in Uganda and other parts of East Africa. One of the person is you, and we know that you have traveled around the world, met with presidents and warlords, negotiated peace deal. Uh, One of it is also the LRA war that took place in Uganda, where you were one of the key persons who negotiated also the deal that now brought for us the peace we enjoy today. Um, we see among young people and many of our leaders today, there's a missing gap in telling the truth of the reality of our lives and what is taking place. Many of the politicians, for example, uh, we know that they come lie about things that they would do or want to do, but the reality of their work is not the truth. So how can young people learn the values of telling the truth, even when sometimes the consequences are imprisonment or even the threat of being killed? And so because of the fear, many people, even if you know the truth, you cannot tell the truth. But we know that we have to have integrity. So how can a young person learn the habit or the values of telling the truth, even if it's hard to say the truth, but you still have to say the truth?
Well, first of all, just as a kind of a corrective, I myself was not directly involved in the negotiations that were going on in the Sudan between various leaders from Uganda, religious leaders, political leaders, government people, parliamentarians, and Joseph Konya and group in the Sudan. I was not involved.
Okay.
Rather, I was involved at the level of the United Nations in pushing for the conflict to be ended by a political settlement through negotiations, ending the conflict because the people were the ones suffering the most. And it was particularly clear that in the case of Uganda, the people suffered from both sides. Government troops committed atrocities on people. The rebels committed atrocities on people. Government troops robbed and destroyed things. And the rebels robbed and destroyed things. So the people were in the middle.
Okay.
And so I was one of those who were working day and night at the international level to ensure that the international community brought pressure to bear on those governments and groups supporting LRA and on the government of Uganda and those supporting them to end the conflict and bring relief to people.
Okay.
Secondly, where perhaps I played the biggest role was in dismantling the camps, in exposing to the world what the camps were. I wrote articles and exposed to the world what the camps were and the conditions in the camps and what that was doing to the people. And therefore, advocating for the international community to bring pressure to bear on the Ugandan government to dismantle the camps. There's nowhere in the world you hear this carefully. In the entire history of the world, there's no example of an entire community, an entire tribe, an entire society removed wholesale and herded into camps. There's no example except the one that happened here. Never. In the whole of history, with the Second World War, with Armenia and various places where people were placed, interned in camps, there will be some people, some leaders, selected groups. But to have the entire society en masse placed in camps, as it happened here, is unprecedented. Secondly, in most of world history, you'd find people who were put in camps for months, maybe for a couple of years. A couple of years would be very long. Like in the Second World War, several years, some people stayed in camp. Very long. But to have people stay in camps for 22 years is never happened in world history. Never happened in world history. You can't even find a place where people stayed for 10 years in camps. Never happened in world history. In the conditions in which people were kept. That is what has given birth to what we are now seeing. That destroyed the culture. It destroyed the morals of the people, the values of the people. It destroyed education. It destroyed everything that made this society. 22 years in the camps in the conditions that we know. So my role was to advocate, to expose, and to lobby for the international community to have Uganda government dismantle the camps. And in the end, finally, when the world was coming for the Commonwealth Summit in Kampala, a famous historian from Kenya calls this the central duo, because behind us in Ethiopia and in South Sudan and in Central Africa and in Congo, there are Luo people. Then we are here in the middle, and when you go past here in eastern Uganda, Usoga and Tororo, there are Luo people. And then you go further afield by the shores of Lake Victoria in Nyanza, Kavirondo used to be called, there are Luo community. And of course in Tanzania, again around the shores of Lake Victoria. So we are all part of that one community, one people, one nation, but now separated by the European boundaries and by migration into different countries in Africa. So what I really want to say is, this particular community, the Cholo community, is truly blessed. I have been all over the world by the grace of God. There's barely any part of the world that I've seen all community that is now collapsed. A massive tragedy has struck. So we have to do something about it. You hear me?
Yeah.
So I'm speaking to you about our soft power. I know all of us get very excited about the land. We have wrangles about them. We are now shedding blood because of the land. The land is important. But our real source of strength and power is not the land. It's not the oil in Nuoya. Plenty of oil in Nuoya. It's none of those. Our real power is who we are. The kind of people we are. The kind of spirit we are. The spirit of competition. The spirit of high achievement. The spirit of doing things well. Not taka-taka, but well, with skill and attention. That is what our real power is. That is what that is what catapulted the Acholi Luo to a pedestal in Uganda, in Africa, and in the world.